Historically, there were probably 20 to 30 million bison roaming across North America. And in the late 1800s, almost all of them were slaughtered. There were about 23 that were left deep in Yellowstone National Park. Those were the only remaining wild bison. Today, the Yellowstone herd is about 3,500 or so wild bison, by far the most genetically pure bison remaining on Earth. That makes them really unique for bison conservation. Yellowstone is very hostile terrain, really, for bison. It's cold and there's deep snow a long period of the year. During that time, the bison of Yellowstone try to roam down into lower elevations for grass. When they do, they leave the park, and this has caused conflict over the years. In the past, they've all been hazed, rounded up, captured, even shipped to slaughter because of a fear of disease that the bison could pass to cattle. Although it's never happened, it is theoretically possible. Part of an experiment that started a few years ago was to take some of the bison that were coming out of Yellowstone and instead of slaughter them, put them in a quarantine facility to see if over a few years they could remove this disease, brucellosis, from these bison. The hope is to restore additional herds from Yellowstone bison to other places in the Great Plains, the historic heart of the range of the American bison. Up to this point, only 2 land management agencies have stepped forward to help: Fort Peck tribes and Fort Belknap tribes.
Our people have called ourselves buffalo chasers forever. The buffalo signifies prosperity. It's a symbol that means to us that life is going to be good. Our kids are not going to go hungry. Buffalo are a very important symbol for who we are as people.
We first brought our interest in 2007 when an interagency buffalo management plan proposed anybody that was interested in acquiring these buffalo, as soon as they passed the quarantine facilities, would be eligible to take them in, and that's what we would like to acquire for our cultural herd. I'm glad it's finally coming to where the buffalo actually get to be on the plains and know that they're home again. For the last 150 years, they've been pushed into the mountains, and now we're giving them a chance to come back. This here is basically the new holding facilities that will house the bison in probably approximately about 9 weeks.
So this makes it over 7,000 acres.
It's 6,900 acres will make it.
Okay. Defenders of Wildlife is honored to help in any way we can, and it's a kind of a natural fit. We want to restore wild bison because they're an incredibly important animal in the Great Plains environment, and the tribes have a cultural connection and the will and the land to do it.
Defenders has long been a supporter of bison restoration, and we have been helping the tribes for a number of years, from everything from financial support for erecting the bison fencing that's so critical to help bison restoration initiatives, and most recently paying for the trailering of the bison from Yellowstone up onto the Indian country lands.
Well, today is a very exciting day. It's been a day that many people have been waiting for a long time. 65 genetically pure Yellowstone bison are being transported from a quarantine facility on the edge of Yellowstone National Park to the Fort Peck Indian Reservation, and they will be restored as the Fort Peck's tribal cultural bison herd. These are the first bison to leave Yellowstone region alive in decades.
Well, the hope is that these genetically pure bison will become the founder herds for bison restoration in the northeastern Montana prairie lands. Restoring key species into their natural habitat is critical to promoting healthy environment, long-term restoration of landscapes, and bringing imperiled species back to healthy population levels.
The return of pure wild bison to eastern Montana has been such a long time coming, and it's so great to see this day finally happen.
As a wildlife biologist, I have followed the bison story for a large part of my career, and to see those bison year after year in quarantine facilities near Yellowstone National Park was so incredibly unnatural and wrong. And so to have defenders part of this translocation moment, it was one of those moments I'll never forget. To be standing there watching those stock trailers open up and those bison come roaring off those trailers, knowing we had played a significant part in that successful translocation, was not only rewarding, but it just felt so right.
Today is a very special day for us. It's like the coming home of our prosperity.
These bison that have returned to Indian country will be the pioneers in our efforts to restore wild bison to their rightful place on the prairie. We at Defenders are so honored to be a part of it. We're happy the bison have come home, and we look forward to seeing them prosper and roam the prairies of northeastern Montana.